Hey everybody, how are you? Axie, let's get a cheer. So my name's Han, or Han Tao. This
Up.
is my co-founder, Akil. And we actually have a third co-founder. His name is Bruce. But he's actually playing in a tournament right now, competing for $400,000 to extend our runway for our company. All right, so Akil, let's tell everybody what is Quest.
Sure. So the one-liner that we say are, we are data-hungry operationalists.
And what does that mean?
Well, we like to go deep with the partnerships that we engage with and use data as a primary driver to make those decisions.
Cool. So let me tell you more about the Content Creator Program. The reason why we created the Axie Creator Program was to identify, support, and retain all of the different creators within the Axie ecosystem. There are a variety of different people and users and players. We have pro players, content creators, artists, singers, people who make cool crafts, and we want to be able to find all of these different people and be able to support them within the ecosystem.
So when we think about a creator program, there's a interesting dynamic that needs to be understood, and it's this concept called the creator economy. So essentially, you have a supply side and a demand side. So the supply side are the creators, and the demand side are the people who are consuming the content. So when we think about how to actually drive growth through this creator economy, you're essentially solving for this hard side of the network, where how do you energize people to create value and distribute that at a high quality and high distributable manner?
So let me fix this mic a little bit. Yeah. What does that mean? This means that we want to be able to help new users join Axie Infinity. When I first played Axie and I was like, hey, how could I find the best team to play on ladder? Guess who I found? Cairo, Sleet, Spam, Bruce. And when I asked Cairo, like, hey, can you help me buy an Axie team? He used me as exit liquidity and gave me his Axie team. Maybe I was bad at the time, who knows? But he gave me like a $200 Axie team, and when I looked out how to play it, the videos were 4-month old, right? It was out of date. I didn't know what was the new cool meta, right? And that's what we're trying to solve. It's like when new users come to Axie, we want all of you amazing content, all of the amazing things that you're doing for them to see and be like, wow, this is a great community. Because when I first also joined, the second person that I spoke to was Jiho's. I DM'd a co-founder and he responded immediately. And that was like, this is it. This is what community is. If you can't answer a DM as a founder or as somebody who is representing a brand, you don't care about your people.
So Han, coming from a Web 2 background, what do you think are like the biggest challenges that Web 3 content creators face? And
yeah, so everybody talks about Web 2 gaming and Web 3 gaming and how it's so different, right? The only difference is the technology, the blockchain. We still have gaming, we still have community, we still have content, and we still have all of these different things, right? But people in Web 2 and people in Web 1, like my parents, they think I'm a scammer, right? They don't understand what crypto is. I told them to buy Ethereum at $4,000. And when we look at all of these new users who want to understand what we're doing, we don't need for them to understand the technology. They just need to understand the game. They need to understand why they should join Axie, why they want to be part of this community, and why it's just fun being here.
that's great. And so like, could you expand more as like, what are the differences between Web 2 content creation and Web 3? Like the size, the...
Yeah, so Web 2 content and Web 3 content, you just need to help people understand, like, what is a wallet? How does blockchain even work? What does owning their assets mean? I spent like $3,000 buying Valorant skins that I can never resell again, right? I played 10,000 hours of Path of Exile, Diablo 2, and where is that gone? Nowhere. I did sell some of my skins for real money, so hopefully I don't get banned. saying this. But tell me more about like, how do we track this?
Yeah, so as we mentioned before, we use data to really drive our understanding and our decisions at Quest. So when we analyzed the creator program, we had two really important questions to answer first, which was one, who are the creators? And number two is what types of content are they actually creating? So this, is done through tracking, through questionnaires, through grassroots just surveys. And of course, to take it a step further, we then want to understand why do people create content? What energizes people? What inputs, what feedback do people need to actually sustain this behavior through time? And this is a really important question to answer because ultimately, when you're thinking about a creator economy and you're thinking about scaling community, solving for the demand side, solving for the supply side is extraordinarily challenging. So to design incentives that actually accommodate that growth is really valuable.
He's a PhD, so
I dropped out of my PhD.
he's very smart. Um, so when we're looking at all of these different creators, we have the niches, right? And understanding what you do online on Twitter, Discord, YouTube, Twitch, and what you do on chain, putting those two together really helps us understand, right?
For sure.
So let's talk more about the future of the creator program.
So what do you think it's important for the creator program to do over the next 6 months?
Yeah, so we've already spent the last 3.5 months identifying all the different creators in the community. We've held multiple campaigns like the Lunasian Art Contest, where we've had sculptors, crafters, painters, digital artists, animators, 3D modeling, and everything. And even within our other campaigns like iOS test flight access, or maybe the AxieCon story, we've been able to find all of the different creators and understand all of the different needs and the talent of each individual. When you are a creator and when you are starting off, it is really, really difficult. You are an editor, you are a producer, you are the talent, you are the editor, you are the designer. You own a small business when you first start off as a creator. And unless you're able to find what you are good at and what you need help on and what kind of resources you can actually use, it's really hard for you to scale because you're spending so much time making content, posting it, making sure your keywords are right, your titles are good, your thumbnail can be changed. And it's just such a complex problem. And for us, we're like, how can we solve that for you, right? How can we help you grow? Because in the last couple months, we were looking at what troubles you had and what problems that we could solve. And now we want to put more resources towards, hey, what is something cool that you want to do for your community within Axie? What is something that you want to do within your local city? How can we get other people excited about Axie? How can we help support you as a creator financially? And even like, how can we just get you more hyped up and making consistent content so that when we have like 100 million users, when they're coming to Axie Infinity, your content should be the first thing that they're seeing. And it should be only 1 day old, not 4 months.
So I'm going to ask you a question, Han.
Yeah.
What's one piece of advice that you give to content creators right now?
One piece of advice. Oof. So,
we didn't rehearse this one.
I think it's really understanding what you like to do. Content creation is not an easy thing to do. It is a very, very, very difficult journey as a creator. You're going to have many hardships, and you're going to have times when you get millions of views a month, and you're going to have times when you get 100 views a month, right? And it's just like, you just need to keep going. And that consistency, that drive, that motivation to always persevere and be at the top, and to understand that like, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is what I love, and this is why I'm here. That's what you need to find out and understand.
It's beautiful.
So, Akhil, let's talk about MIT a little
Yeah.
bit. So we actually did a little bit of research recently.
Yeah, so it was fascinating. We partnered with MIT and we actually put out an article. It's on Twitter. You guys can search for it. Um, Essentially, what we're trying to understand is what makes people excited about engaging with their ecosystem. And the specific indicators that we were looking at was how do people engage with like the Lunassian Summer versus Lunassian Express. And like the two-line take-home is this. Essentially, there's two types of behaviors. There's like law of diminishing returns. The more I eat ice cream, the less I want to eat a second cone of ice cream. And then there's the opposite, which is like the Lindy effect. The longer a technology is alive, the more likely that technology is going to continue staying alive. What we found is that crafting, breeding, these are activities that don't exhibit diminishing returns. They're actually the Lindy effect. So now an important question for game designers to understand is how do we drive people to actually, what's the tipping point? What are the inputs that people need to actually go from 0.5 to 1?
So to put it into perspective, if Chuck Fresco breeds 100 summer Axies, is he more likely to breed more or less Axies?
Theoretically, he's well on his way to breed 1,000 after that.
So if you breed 100 Axies, Chuck, that means you're more likely to actually breed more Axies from what we found,
Yeah.
right? And what we're trying to find is what's that tipping point? What gets people excited about Axie and for them to get to that next step? So how many dollars of Axies were burned?
Well, I want to maybe pose a question to the group. Like, Lunassian Express, was that more or less than the summer? Show of hands, do you
Yeah.
think it was more?
So Lunassian Express, when you released all of your Axies, right? Or the summer breeding event, which one burned more dollars? Is it Lunassian Summer? Raise of hands. Okay, breeding event? Raise of hands.
Yeah, so the Express, where you just burned your Axies, burned about $8 million worth of assets. The breeding event burned $1.9 million. So although everyone was giga excited about the summer event, actually, when you talk about balancing the economy, the Express was more effective. But that actually asks an important question for us as a community to understand. What are we actually trying to maximize? Are we trying to maximize burn, engagement, excitement? And how do you transfer that momentum to real economic value?
Yeah, so we're basically trying to find like all of the user data and information because we're using this to really understand creators at a deeper level. We have Stark, who had 700 Axies on his account, and he couldn't play in the tournament initially because he had too many Axies. The server was overloaded. He has too many because he keeps breeding, right? And then we also have the other ones who are just collectors. And we have Arctic over here, who loves all of his summer Axies, one of the top breeders for summer, right? So understanding all of this data really helps us find how you behave, what kind of user you are, and how we can help you be more empowered, right?
So I have one last question for you, Han.
Yeah.
Let's think big picture. You're a seasoned content curator, conduit. What is the future of Web3 content creation 3 years from now?
So who here owns a phone? Okay, amazing.
Nice.
And who here owns cable TV? Who here has cable television? 2 people. Okay. Who here has Disney Plus, Netflix, or Hulu? Okay. And who here has YouTube, or TikTok, or Twitter, or Instagram? Right? When we're looking at user-generated content, nobody watches television anymore. I don't even have a TV. I watch everything on the internet, right? And when we're looking at content, it's the user-generated content that's really going to want people to consume. Think about how much revenue YouTube made last year, or last quarter. I think it was like, what, 15 billion in the last 3 months on advertising on YouTube? That's crazy, right? And what are they doing? You have David Dobrik, Mr. Beast. You have all these other people that are making their own content that people are watching. They're not watching like, oh, we're spinning a wheel, or oh, here's like a reality TV show, right? We're mainly watching like the stories that you guys are generating and putting out.
So what I'm hearing is, as our world becomes more digital, it's incredibly important that the value that you create, you actually have ownership over that. And right now, we're seeing that by virtue of these game assets. But in the future, what you write, what you record, how you express your thoughts, these will all be tokenized assets that you can actually distribute and actually get accrual back to you. So when we see the development of the creator economy, it's truly going to empower this user-generated content and grow parabolically.
Yeah. When when you were first started out in Axie, when did you get in? How much was AXS?
AXS was $4, and I was buying it all just to breed.
And when I got in Axie, it was $200. Right. So we all have like our different stories within Axie. So let's talk more about how did you meet Bruce? Because before Quest, it was actually Super Whale. I don't know if any OGs remember that, or Proof of Game.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. We met last year around this time, and immediately we kicked it off. He's a very passionate guy and very intelligent, high caliber, and I immediately was attracted to that. So we basically discussed our ideas. We found immense overlap, and we were like, dude, let's just join forces and kill this. So,
Cool.
yeah.
So when I joined Super Whale, I was just somebody from traditional gaming, and I was looking at Web3 like, oh, I can buy and sell these things and make some money. Hopefully I can make some money, and then I lost a bunch of money. But when I found Bruce, he was like, he came from Bridgewater. He had a super operational background, and I'd never worked corporate before because like nobody wants to work a 9 to 5. And Akil came from IBM and CDC. He's like doing what
Things. Yeah, computer
things,
stuff.
computer things, programming, research. And I was mainly content and creators and social media. So when we found each other, it was just like perfect.
For sure.
Perfect. So does anybody have any questions about the creator program?
We're trying to keep it light, so feel free to
Yeah.
just.
Yes.
You guys have a strategy that is going for the people who once met Axie with the kind of movement that you entered in, now are just sending food because they are not even updated on what's really going on here.
Yeah, so to clarify the question, you basically asked like, what type of people are we trying to find, right? Is it the people that are, not as active in the creator program, or ones that are, different types of people, or depending on activity?
In terms of the communication of the creator program, when
Yeah.
in terms.
Hello, hello. Okay.
Yeah.
In terms of the creators program output, in which is the content itself, is there any line going for all that people that is just throwing bad comments and stuff that they are not even updated on what is really going on in the community and in the
Yeah,
the
so when I was working and doing agency stuff with creators, it's really a two-way street, right? I can only do so much for a creator unless they are also willing to also put back the same amount of time, right? And the most successful creators in our program are the ones who are most active. Nino, Muke, they're always active. They participate in all of the campaigns. They're always looking at Twitter. They're always commenting on Discord. So the ones that are succeeding and really benefiting are the ones that are always engaged and watching and seeing what's going on. And that's how we can best support, because if you're not as active, it's really hard to help. Yeah. At the back there. We'll have the mic.
I know you guys are focused on retention and that you use the creator program in order to kind of drive retention. Are there other, like with this MIT research that you've done, are there other more like omni-channel marketing tactics that you look to start implementing in the near future in order to drive retention through different avenues outside of just creators?
Yeah, for sure. So when we look at the user journey, right, it's customer acquisition, retention, and then iterating on that retention. When someone first lands in Axie, they need to see the content, they need to see activity on socials, they need to feel welcomed. Lima makes everybody in the community feel amazing when they first join Axie Infinity, right? And it's just like, when I first joined, it was a great experience because I talked to Jiho, I talked to Lima, and talked to all these people. But then financially, it was like really bad experience, right? But after like actually learning about the game, because I didn't actually understand anything about Axie, I just spent money and bought it, right? But now once I understood it, I learned, and I started growing in the environment, it was just like, okay, how can I actually participate and engage with Axie? There's so many other retention mechanisms that we have within the community. We're just one small part, right? And when we look at like, we have the Axie sisters doing cool things, and we also have a lot of other different types of contributors. We have developers, right? They are amazing. How have they helped you, Akil?
They're cracked. They're so good. They literally make the entire ecosystem run, I feel like. So shout out to all the community developers, Ouchie, Wayomin. Yeah, you guys are Max Brand. Yeah.
Basically, they saved him 200 hours of work because they knew how to work with Ronin, right? Yeah, so like there's so many different types of communities and like micro groups within Axie, and being able to find them, understand what their needs are, and understand like how to get them together, have fun, and be part of it is kind of our goal, right? But there's so many. You just gotta pay attention to Axie. You just gotta follow Axie Infinity, engage in the Discord.
Yeah, that's good. I think we can.
Are we over time, or can we ask other questions?
We can do one more question and then yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Do you guys have a roadmap for what you're going to be giving to us? Like stuff that you're going to provide to us that we can use to help with our like content creation goals?
So to get better at content or to have more resources? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So he asked, do we have a roadmap? How can we help creators more? So I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I think Jiho spends like 20 hours a day on Twitter. But we actually have an amplification system in place. And every time you use hashtag Axie Creator, we see that, and then we send it and get it amplified. We get you retweets, we get you likes, we get you eyeballs to see it, right? And when we look at a roadmap, it's not just about getting you views. Because if a user sees your content, what if they don't like it, right? What if they don't think it's like, oh, I'd just rather watch somebody else, right? I'd rather watch an Elijah video or a Ryan video or a Chuck video, right? And it's like, on the core of content creation, you have like, how do I have the best art assets? How do I have better editing? How do I understand which title or thumbnail is better? And we're looking to provide workshops and grants and also more resources to really help with activations like that, so that number one, you first understand what content creation is, how to get better, and then once we start amplifying you, getting you users, then they'll actually stay and want to watch you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
Any other
we're like
questions?
10 minutes over, I think, so.
Yeah, I think we're 10 minutes over. But any other questions? Yeah, sure.
Please.
This is Quinn, VP of Growth at Sky Mavis.
Thank you for the intro, Hanto. I would love to hear what is in the roadmap for the Axie Creator Program. What does victory look like what are you guys most excited about for what we're going to bring to our creators in the long run?
So I can do a short answer, and then you can maybe color it. So when we just think about what we've done so far, what does a near-term future look like, and what does the long-term future look like? Right now, we were just trying to listen. That was the primary objective. We just wanted to understand who was creating, where they were located, and why. Now it's, okay, we've identified this cohort of amazing creators. Let's experiment. Let's get spicy with rewards, with dope things for you guys to interact with. And then in the future, it's, well, how can we generalize this and scale this out so that way it's not just the creators that are inside the ecosystem creating, but externally, they're coming in and saying, hey, my content creation journey can only get better if I join the Axie Infinity ecosystem because of their creator program.
If I had a one line to describe a goal is, I want people to love Axie, right? And how we want to really approach that is, there's so many different talented people. Everybody here came from different backgrounds, right? The main thing that we have in common is our language, or maybe we like the same foods, right? But the main thing, what is the main thing? It's Axie. We're all here for Axie, right? And to be able to be brought together and really understand, like, hey, what can I do for you to make you want to play Axie for the next 10 to 20 years? But not only that, is like, how can I help you make your grandma, your dad, your mom understand and think that you actually have a real job? Because when my parents heard when I was in gaming, they told me to go back to school.
Okay, I think that's it. All right.
Guys, I just want to say one more thing. Before Quest came along, we had a real problem with content creators at Axie Infinity. Our content creators gave Axie so much, and we weren't doing everything that we could to really give back, to allow our creators to participate in the value that they were creating for Axie. Now that Quest has built what is honestly the very first Web3 content creator program, I truly believe we have the strongest offering for creators. We now have, I think, almost 400 creators in the creator CRM that you guys have put together.
Like 2.5 thousand?
2,500 creators.
Yeah.
That is most certainly the largest Web3 content creator CRM in existence. And it's all a testament to what these guys have built. So if we can get a massive round of applause for Quest. Thank you guys so much. Leave it at that. Thank you, gentlemen.
Appreciate it.